everyone. I have been away for a little over a week now, not really posting a lot, especially not on YouTube. Had a little bit of a health issue come up, but I am back home feeling much, much better. And one of my great friends that I met through X, and we've kind of maintained a relationship, get along really well with. He's an outstanding researcher, and he has just a amazing set of skills, and he's a super creative, super intelligent guy that I really respect. In the spirit of protecting his identity at this time, we are using his X handle, which is Flak Magnet. So I hope you enjoy this podcast with Flak Magnet. The guy has a ton of knowledge. It's a lot of fun, and I hope you get something out of it. Don't forget, like, subscribe to the channel, and all that good stuff. And I hope you enjoy this podcast.
Ever taken you aside and said, "Hey, Burchett, back off a little bit. This is our stuff. We don't want to disclose it."
Pretty close to that.
But you don't believe it. You don't think this is our technology.
No, I do not. There's no way it is our no way is our technology. There's, I've talked to too many pilots. Why would we risk our best? I mean, I've talked to the best pilots in the world that are ours. Some of them, not all of them, and that have told me. I mean, one guy, I remember I was at the Capitol Hill Club. It was just an unusual encounter. A guy spoke to a group, and he followed me out and said, Tim, or congressman or whatever, he said that thing was 14 feet. He went like this from my canopy. And I thought to myself, why didn't he say 15? Why didn't he say 20? But he said 14. And then he said this thing, it wasn't ours. He said, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't ours. And that's all he said. And I had a very high-ranking member of the Navy describe some underwater experiences they'd had with something that was doing 200 miles. And the best thing we got is probably 40.
It was doing 200 miles an hour underwater.
Underwater, big as a football field. And that's no fish. This was described to me in areas, and I was quoted on some. I was just all I do is quote people that have knowledge. But this was one that was he was talking about. There are 5 or 6, I think, deep water areas of the ocean. You've traveled a lot. I have not. There's not a lot of deep water areas around East Tennessee at Fort Loudon Lake or anything, but you're talking miles deep. And of course, you've heard this before. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do the surface of the ocean. And he said these are areas where we see a high propensity of these UFOs. So why would we risk multi-million-dollar apparatus? And why would we put something in the air around our best pilots that could have a crash? Because these guys are talking about there's actually, they've come close to collisions. Why would they do that? They would not do that. No, that would be stupid. No, I mean, there's even, I always say military intelligence, a whole lot like congressional ethics. I don't think it really exists much anymore.
I've noticed.
But anyway, it's, I just don't think that we'd be risking that. So that's my proof that it's not ours.
So how many military personnel have you spoken to about their personal experiences with these things?
I'd say, I don't know, 8 or 9, 10 maybe. But I have to be real careful because I'm clearly somebody out there, and I'm not backing down on it. I'm not ashamed of it or anything, but
You have no reason to be ashamed of it.
No.
Why would you be ashamed of it?
Well, that's what they try to do, is they try to shame people.
Oh, are you hiding relevant secrets from the American public? I don't think you are.
No, but
why aren't they ashamed?
Well, I have to be careful about the white flags, the stuff people bring me that's not real.
Well, that's why we're talking to you.
Yeah. Well,
I've had a lot of people come to me with stuff like that.
Yeah. And I've got these pictures, and I want to show you this. I've got this, I'm always afraid I'm going to end up in a refrigerator up in North Carolina, or a freezer in North Carolina somewhere.
Part of the way that they discredit people who are interested in finding out what this is by telling them false things. And then
they tried to destroy their careers. They did that to one of our guys. One of the very first person, the first hearing we had, if you remember, some weekly newspaper reporter found out that one of the guys suffered from PTSD because of his military career. You know what? In Tennessee, we embrace that. My daddy fought on Peleliu in Okinawa. And to the day he died, I never woke him up over the top of him. I always woke him up by his big toe, because he might have woke up on one of those dadgum islands and pinned me up against the wall. And we celebrate our heroes. But Washington, D.C. just destroys them. And to think that a weekly newspaper found out this guy's medical history, which is a total violation of the law, somebody should go to jail for it, but nobody did. They tried to destroy this guy. And that's what happens to people in Washington, D.C. That's what happens to our military heroes when they step out of line because of the sewer or deep state or whatever you want to call it. But that's what they, and that's why we need real whistleblower protection for them. And then they put some stuff on a screen that was pretty compelling.
What was it?
It was aircraft flying at just crazy stuff that we can't do that would turn you or me into basically a catch-up package. It was not.
No human being could handle the G-force.
No, not at our. Well, with the technology we have, the G-force would just tore them apart. And was it unmanned or whatever? I don't know. Americans want their pizzas in 30 minutes or less, and that's about Congress's attention span. Because we're always on one, and then it's the hot issue, and then the news cycle changes 2 weeks later, we're on to something else.
So you guys are often, members of Congress are often briefed in SCIFs. It's a secure location that they immediately go and call CNN and tell them, everyone was at the SCIF. But if a member of Congress received, quote, classified information about UAPs and then immediately held a press conference and said, here's what I just heard and saw. And yes, I'm breaking the law, but tough shit, why don't you do something about it? Yeah. What would happen?
I don't know. They say they can imprison us, but that's what we're told at the beginning. We're not even supposed to discuss. Some people will tell you can't even tell them that you've been in a SCIF, but the press is waiting for you as soon as you walk out.
Who says that? Leadership of the party?
Oh, yeah, leadership. Yeah. I've been in a SCIF before where they'll say anything discussed in here, we remind you, is punishable by law. And, it's a felony. But the problem you get in there a lot of times is the arrogance and the lies that are told to us. They contradict. They'll contradict what another department has said. And they'll say, this didn't happen. This doesn't exist. And then another one will say, this is one we don't know about. We can't figure out. There's just no answer. It defies all of our reason. And
so these are the briefers from various federal agencies that you're talking about.
And they're generally arrogant. There's one kid with a man bun. I always remember him. He was very arrogant. And then I asked him about some specific instances. There was one where we had a nuclear facility, something Buzz did, and the actual facility shut down. It
famously,
was documented. And he
in the Dakotas, I think.
I can't remember exactly. I read so many of these things, and he said, I remember he said, we have no data points on that. And I said, dude, it's in all. Google it. It's everywhere. And I get very frustrated, Tucker. A lot of times I go to these classified briefings. And part of the reason you go to a classified briefing is to get information, which I'm sure that's where a lot of the stock trading goes on. But I think they bring you in and tell you stuff you already knew, so you can't even talk about it.
Both parties agree on this issue. You would say UAPs are one of those?
I would say they are.
The money's fake. We just make it.
Yeah, we just print it.
Yeah.
But we've had, what are they? We've had sworn testimony where they'll say, I've seen beings. There's a movie coming out.
Hold on. And the testimony says this is sworn testimony.
Sworn testimony. They're beings, and there's saucers or some craft or something. But there's a movie coming out pretty soon, if it's ever allowed to come out. I was in it a little bit. And you have former members of the CIA, you have others that positively say they were there.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone.
Non-human intelligence exists.
UAPs are real, they're here, and they're not human. I spent 25 years as a senior official with the CIA.
I worked on highly classified UAP programs.
28 years as an astrophysicist.
I served as the 4th Director of National Intelligence.
Director of Aviation Security in the National Security Council.
A 1-star admiral after 32 years of service.
People that come forward with this, I feel like they've taken their life in their own hands.
For over 16 years, on behalf of the U.S. government, I worked as a senior intelligence official on the unidentified aerial phenomenon topic. I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
So look at that thing. It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them.
The first country that cracks the code on this technology will be the leader for years to come.
China has established its own version of a UAP task force.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
This is similar to the Manhattan Project. This is the atomic weapon on steroids.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees.
You better be careful about a government that doesn't trust its people, because there's no telling what they'll pull on you.
This is the biggest discovery in human history. It has so many beneficial impacts, including clean energy.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
And they identified these things. They diagnosed them and they saw them. They saw the craft. And, you know, there's enough people out there saying it, but they're just so suppressed. And the media moves on so fast on something. And you know, I've been on so many of these interviews, and they're playing the theme from some crazy TV show or something before I come on, you know, and they're just making a joke out of it. And I get it. People want to laugh about it.
I don't get it at all.
Yeah. I mean, I get the fact.
Seems like an absolutely, I mean, it seems
they
like
just want to humiliate me. And
it's a deadly serious topic, objectively speaking. And if
it's a national defense issue, it's everything. It's everything. I mean, it's not a national, it's a world defense issue. Yeah. And I've had military personnel call me and tell me they've chased these things. They've been in the water. I had one guy tell me a story. He was an officer, and he was in the water fishing off, I think it was on the East Coast, and this huge craft flew over them, and then these several jets were flying, trying to keep up with it, and he identified the jets because he was obviously an Air Force officer, and he said, "Look, I just want you to continue on this thing. You're not. A lot of people have seen stuff," and he said, "I have," and you know, and I mean, he had a distinguished career, but it just continues on and on and on. And it gets, you know, we get patted on the head and say, okay, you can have another hearing, and then we do it. But until somebody in the White House says disclose, or somebody walks out of one of these labs with something and is and shows it and puts it on YouTube before he's allowed to commit suicide, I think that's the only way we're going to get to the bottom of it, because it will never. It's so deep. The layers of the onion is so deep. You just keep peeling it off, and it's just a different person, a different story. You go over here, and you know, the naivety of Congress. You have members telling me, "Well, let's go over here and get a, you know, we'll get a tour of where you think these things are." I was like, dude, once we announce that, you know, the U-Haul vans are already been there and gone. You know, it's not that way. It's not going to work that way. Congress is not going to walk in there with all its magnificence and arrogance and find something.
We want this information. We want it by the close of business today, or else you're fired, or we're going to send soldiers in and get the information. I don't. Why is that hard?
I just don't think it's profitable for them. I think there's too much money, and it goes too deep. And you have a lot of soldiers. They're not literally soldiers, but people that just follow orders. And they said it's national security. They think it's national security. But I don't have any confidence in anybody in Washington currently. I have confidence in Trump. I really do. I think if we can talk to him seriously about this for a short amount of time, I think he'll just tell him to jam it. It was part of Chinese influence. I think when they flew the balloon over, they wanted to, it was 50s or 60s technology. They didn't have anything. They are, I mean, they got enough spies on the ground in every university and every think tank and every national lab, whatever. They got them there. But they wanted to see what our response was. They saw our political response, which was zero, our military response, which was zero, in our press response. And the only thing was the people were outraged about it, and then they shot it down off the coast of Myrtle Beach.
So you think the drones, the so-called drones over New Jersey last fall were a Chinese operation?
Something very similar. Somebody experimenting to see what our response would be, because, you fly an airplane over the country and somebody's going to pick it up, but you fly a drone, they could have small nukes, it could have been a biological agent. And I think now they know they could do that, or at least under Biden they could. They can't do it under Trump.
So if that was the Chinese who did that, and the U.S. government did nothing, and
I think they had contractors here that provided them with that. That's my theory. We'll pass a bill if we do, if leadership shines on us, and we'll pass a bill, and then it'll be a tough bill. And then the Senate will pass one a little tougher on something we can't agree on. And then we'll say, look at those guys in the Senate, they're 150 years old. They're so crooked. And they'll say, look at us, we're a bunch of cretins, we don't know what we're doing. And then it'll go away. And we tried. And that's just the game they're playing. That is a game they play with everything. Either that or it's a study committee. So many bills, and I was talking about that with the staff, they'll get you to do, don't do this bill. Let's do a study bill and then come back next year with all this information. Tucker, have you ever seen that last scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where they're going into that warehouse? It just goes on and on. I'm pretty sure that's where all the study committee bills go to after they pass them, and you put in your local newspaper, look at this great bill, because it has the same title, but it doesn't do anything. And then, and then next year you don't pass anything. You don't come back with anything because you've already so-called passed your lame bill.
Ron Sykes making a comment. What's he say here? The Blue Planet Spacecraft Club Facebook. So is he trying to promote his Facebook page? Should we take a look? Blue Spacecraft. Blue Space Club.
That we aren't getting photos from.
I just think it's a quick moving comment, dude. It's the third one in recorded history, and so we don't have a lot of data on them. And the last one, we didn't even really realize what it was until we had pieces of it in the ocean and it was gone. And you pull a piece of rock out of the ocean, call it alien. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't mean to be an obvi hater. God, I sound like such an obvi hater. But I feel like people that fear monger, really grinds my gears. Like the family.
Well, he's our sponsor for the show. You know that, right?
Who, Avi Loeb?
Yeah, he's personally is sponsoring today's show with Comet Repellent. It's a lovely spray that we have. We haven't got it in studio yet, but soon enough.
Goes instantly black.
Oh man, yeah, that would. I don't know if we'd take that one on. That's that's a little scammy. We'd have to reconsider that one.
Let's take a look at what Ron is trying to share with us here. He thinks it's important, right? It's 6 o'clock on a Friday night. Holy shit! So this is important to him. So you can see me scrolling through here, right? That's small. Maybe I can zoom in. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
7 hours, morning all, YouTube with Ground Rock.
That was my nickname in high school, by the way.
Cell system. I don't know. That's like some kind of scientific. Two gases are fed into porous metal electrodes that are separated.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh, it's on YouTube. Should we open the? Should we hit the YouTube link? Oh,
I think we might go into some kind of paradox. We may lose each other in that.
I'm good on that. I just wanted to see what else we got here.
Hit it some sort of time loop.
Those say secret discs, advanced pre-Egyptian technology. I gotta tell you,
I believe it was Noel Scott was working in like the 50s in might have been Bell Labs, but there was that same kind of like exotic vacuum object work, where now it's considered exotic vacuum objects, but back then it was just a plasma distribution in a vacuum along a cylindrical disc substrate.
That particular piece right there, you're seeing?
No. The story you mentioned right before that, the one with the anode cathode.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like pretty fascinating stuff.
That thing is cool. I know what that is. I don't know what it does. I think that's the whole spiel about it. Is like we know that it's there. We can see that disc thing ish. But what does it do? Is it a steering wheel for an Egyptian racing car? You know, from 2,000 years ago. We don't know. There's no way to know these things.
View of the Hutchison effect by George Hathaway. In this video, I've uploaded a rare May 14, 19.
Oh, that's cool.
I will be the judge of that. Thank you.
All right. I'm holding cool judgments then. I retract my earlier statement.
Take a look. Okay, so let me get this thing out of here. Come on. Of course, I can't complain too much. I mean, I just moved from YouTube and Facebook to X. And I can tell you the traction that I've gotten in X has been exponentially more than what I ever got on YouTube. Or I'm sorry, on Facebook. I mean, they just give you zero love on Facebook unless you're willing to pay. That's just how it is.
Oh, yep. You should try more pictures of your lunches and dinners. Maybe I'm trying to think what's big on Facebook usually. That stuff. Everyone's always doing that.
You know what? Like I said, I just post and ghost, man. I don't even pay attention to it. You know, if I want to listen to my aunt rant about taxes, then I'll hop on Facebook. But other than that,
like I said, it's the only way I can get in touch with my Uncle Mortimer. He's a wily one. He lives inside of an actual cave.
So
I don't know how he gets Wi-Fi.
How do you feel about this Hutchinson effect video? This is where Ron kind of led us here. Science related. I know there's the big controversy about Jesse Michaels not paying Jeremy Rice, alien scientist, the $50,000 for him capturing the Hutchinson effect. And it was a fact it was that they could capture it in a zero vacuum was the full deal. So Jesse comes out, he says, yeah, I'll pay 50 grand to the first person that can prove the Hutchinson effect works in a vacuum. And then Reese does it in his lab with his coworker. They put it on video. They show it to Jesse. They get like no response. And the icing on the cake is like several months later, Jesse is on the Joe Rogan show. And Joe Rogan asks him about this reward. And Jesse's like, yeah. And Jamie pulls up the video, and it's the exact video that Jeremy Rice made, proving the effect in a zero gravity environment. And they still hadn't paid that man. Good.
Yeah, that's messed up. It's because it's not the right person who did it. That's why. Right. Jeremy Reese, like as a close
Tyson, they'd have paid him in a heartbeat.
As a close personal acquaintance of you like what I did there? See, because I've talked to him maybe twice. Close personal acquaintance. Yeah, totally, kind of. You know, he doesn't know it yet. But yeah, man, like he's got a bit of a reputation for getting shit done and working with some serious scientists. So I can't believe that it took Joe Rogan like on his show pulling it up in front of his face to really even acknowledge that, and then still didn't pay him. That's kind of wild.
I thought it's rather funny because not only was it like the first video but it was like he was trying to play off like, oh, that's nothing. That doesn't mean
it.
Okay, come back in. I'll be right back. Don't you move, Buster.
I'm out of here. I gotta go. Slippery like an eel, I shall slide out on my own back and tummy.
It wouldn't kill you to entertain the crowd, you know?
I'm trying to, dude. I'm just not that entertaining, man. I'm not. Oh, jeez, there he is. He's the eel in this one. He slid right out there. Beep, bop, bop, skitty, boop, da. Bop, 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 boo. Skibbity, boop. Technical difficulties. We will be back shortly. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. You there? I was doing scatting. I was scatting all over the place.
I said entertain the crowd, and I come in here and you're just chilling. I mean,
I'm doing scat music, man. Scatting. Ba-da-da-ba-ta. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, scow. Oh man, I'm always in trouble. Always causing trouble, aren't I?
all right. Who's it? Deciphering my experience there, Jay. Oh, Eric's here. Hey. Let's see what he's got to say. Would you two believe me if I told you that I was involved with Hutchinson prior to going down to South Pole? Because I was. What the fuck?
Boom, insider.
He's gonna save that bomb for 5:50 on a Friday night. Well, I guess
Boom.
we're talking about this weekend, right?
Yep.
What the hell? That's amazing. We appreciate you, Eric. Very cool. That is definitely an exclusive that we are going to have to share.
Eric is a close personal acquaintance of mine as well, whether he likes it or not. We will get him on for facts and data and poking.
It's like Eric is
cold.
the de facto father. He just doesn't.
He refuses to acknowledge it on paperwork, but one day.
You're getting him drugged up enough. Here we go. All right, now this is going to be a guy you've 100% heard of before because he's been out there on the circuits. He's been in the movie, the Disclosure movie, whatever that was called. What was that called?
Oh, I don't know, but you know I'm a big fan of the circus, so this should be fun.
Yeah, so big circus. Total Disclosure, I think is what it's called. So let's take a look at
Oh, it's a different kind of circus, that one.
It sure is, isn't it?
I get this email on the Navy's secret network.
So yes, so again, Tim Gallaudet, we're talking underwater drones. Gallaudet's been out there. This is him on Sean Ryan. Pretty much the highlights of his USO experiences, I think.
And it's from my boss's operation officer. I was reporting to a 4-star admiral, U.S. Fleet Forces Command. His operations officer was a 2-star. And the email was sent to all the subordinate commanders. This is at least 20 flags and SESs. All the deputies are copied on it. And the title of it is Urgent Safety of Flight Issue. All caps. The body of the email said, if any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. We are having numerous near midair collisions, and if we don't stop it, we're going to have to cancel the exercise. And attached to the video was the now famous leaked Go Fast video. F-18 pilots captured video of this UAP zorching over the water. There's no flight control surfaces or propulsion means that are visible. It's just a little round sphere.
What are some of the things you've encountered as an oceanographer that you know?
So here you go. When I was
keep you up at night. Let's talk about the Submariner.
I am what I am. I have the scientific background as an authority on these topics of ocean science and exploration. A submariner came to me, and virtually and he just said, "Hey, I was on a sub in the 80s. I'd like to talk to you about what I saw." They get a passive hit, a contact, then it paused and then started closing on them rapidly. That was every feature that a Russian torpedo would have in terms of the constant bearing, decreasing range at a very rapid rate. And they were so convinced, he called the captain of the bridge, they set general quarters and they dived.
Project Beta.
Project Beta, the story of Paul Benowitz and the evolution of the modern UFO myth. And what it's about is a civilian physicist who was on contract to work for the Air Force, I believe. He was one of these people who was a civilian researcher in the UAP in the New Mexico area where there was
Do you think there's different kinds? Do you think that there is a possibility that some of these are kind of nuts and bolts types crafts, and some are maybe something to do with consciousness, maybe something to do with some type of spirituality? What are you thinking?
I think the answer is yes. There was another encounter where UFOs were seen to go into the water. The ships all got vectored to go look for these things, and Canadian divers were interviewed and claimed to have seen these two underwater discs and actual occupants outside the craft trying to repair it.
I think what I think about it is there's some bases underwater in the ocean because of big ass planet. And if you have like machines that can travel through time and support life through the galaxies, I'm certain they could hang at the bottom of an ocean for a while, right? I mean, that would be, seems like that would be child's play compared to the other things those crafts would be capable.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm trying to think of like prosaically what craft could we have, like just as humans, that we would even be able to fix on the fly like that, or how that would even be possible.
Anything that could even come close? Anything that could even come close. My immediate reaction, let me pull it up, would be
I know we got some like real fancy subs out there, but like I don't know anything that comes out like that.
no. And if you can't see it or engage with it, or like Fravor was saying he experienced with these Tic-Tacs, you can't get a beat on them. What did he say? It seems like they know where you're going before you get there. I don't know how you win out in a dogfight like that. I have no idea. So I mean, you could take advanced craft like this, right? That looks like a fucking alien craft. And some people say it's got alien technology in it and electrogravitic technology in it. What do you think of that bad boy? I mean, I know I wouldn't want to run into it in the sky.
Well, yeah, to me, it just looks like the Horton Hoe, like a fancier, newer version of that. It's just two turbine ducts that run along the entire side of the cockpit area.
Yes. It's also the stealth, right? It's the
stealth. So they got two things. They got ionized plasma, I believe, that runs along the leading edge of the wings that makes it real fucking fancy. And they also use, like you said,
lighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can lift off in a shorter distance.
I was looking at plans for what proposes that does, and it basically cuts a lot of drag off, almost all of it. And that's like one of your big things you got to overcome in flight. The other thing though is, so I wonder how much of that is coating, like what is it, chemical makeup of what's being sprayed as the coating on the aircraft, and then what is the shape, because it looks relatively rounded. All this, the B2 cell stuff was jagged so that it couldn't get a proper thing. So it's cool to see that they've changed that model around, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And really, I mean, if you see one of these heading towards your country, you know what's inside of that thing, right? I mean, that's not going to be a good day if they open up those cargo bay doors. Because
it's kind of wild to think that we have any pilots in there, right? Because we've all seen the ones that have no pilots, and they're just as big.
Yeah,
you would think that if you're,
I think the thing with the pilots is like you still want that extra control, right? Like that's why there's two keys to turn on a nuclear weapon. You want that extra set of eyes, that extra set of ears, that extra perspective, because we are talking about unleashing hell on earth. I mean, that's essentially what it is.
I'm just trying to think about it from the angle of having to drop that thing off as the pilot, and then having to get my ass out of there. You know, like that just seems insane to even suggest somebody to do. You know, that's why I'm like, I would have figured that's the first thing we would have like removed was the pilot aspect. You know,
the lady in what was that, Happy Gilmore? Mister, get me out of here.
Mister.
Just take some fries and go away.
Oh man, but that's wild because we had what was that? I think it was the ox cart that delivered the one to Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah.
And that was like wasn't the fastest plane in the world. You know what I mean? It was just big and safe and stealthy. You know, like it's not like what we got now. But even the thing back then, like you see the test runs of that thing, right? And how high that plume goes. That goes well above the place you're dropping it from. You know, like that's just crazy.
What about like let me get this pulled up here. Do you have thoughts on the early Atlas program? This isn't something I've talked about a lot, but I've been thinking about a lot lately. In particular, yeah, I believe this is the video here.
I think that was like one of von Braun's like big projects, right?
Well, yes, it was. So this was a rocket re-entry into orbit, and I'm going to turn the volume down because white noise is just hell of a thing. So you have your rocket re-entry. That's your bright light up at top there, right? And you see that little tiny light at the bottom, a little orb light.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got your big light, and then you got this little teeny light to the bottom right. That's almost like following it. And they try to say that that's debris. But then it gets weirder. This is from the late 60s, dude. This is in the government archives. You can go dig up. And then it gets stranger. Not the fastest video. But I don't want to miss the part where it splits because it looks super weird. There. Oh. Here we go. So that one on the bottom is like mimicking. See that? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's debris and just how it enters, but it seems like it's mimicking. And then check this out. There's another smaller one that develops under that. See that little circle under the smaller circle that's blinking?
Yeah, that's wild. This is the first time I've ever seen this.
Oh, for real? Yeah, this was like 1968 or something. Yeah, this is stuff like they had to archive, but they don't talk about it. So up top, now you see that rocket has disintegrated, right? It's falling to pieces through the atmosphere. So you would expect to see debris at this point, right? Then it's like, oh, well, the debris makes sense then. But you're telling me it was functioning normally that whole time with these two little things under it. And then it just bursts at random, and these two little things are still fine. See, they're still down there chilling. They're not breaking up. Is that not some of the
You know what
shit?
though? Yeah, but oh, there's so many weird things going on here. Just how that rocket seems to be working and everything. Like,
yes.
And this is on re-entry?
This is on re-entry. Now hold on, I got a couple other really goodies for you if you haven't seen these, because these are all from the National Archive. These are all taken by top level scientists, and of course they all provide prosaic explanations for all of them, but thus my eyes deceive me. I mean, it's fucking weird. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of that one. It comes crashing down. They lose sight of that one piece of debris though. Remember, there was like the one under it followed it the whole time, and then the one tiny one under that, all gone. They don't know where that went.
Yeah. Oh, that's so damn strange, dude.
Dude, it's very strange. Okay, hold on. I won't keep you a ton longer, but this is interesting too. From the National Archives, 16 millimeter RSK. Check this shit out. What the hell are those things? Those birds? Because they tried telling us what Skywatch captured were birds. Don't look like birds to me. What do I know?
I saw something like that, but they were like kind of like swarming in and out of it, like a
Yeah.
very weird, dude. But at first I thought it was
more.
birds, and I was like,
Look.
birds don't fly like that.
Look,
Oh,
there's
that's
more
so
of 'em.
strange.
Look at how bad that film grain is. How old that is. And they still are capturing those things. Like you wouldn't just hold, like you wouldn't be following those things if there wasn't something weird about them. You know how much film cost back in the day?
That's what a lot of UFO photos look like in the fucking 40s and 50s and 60s.
Right. Right.
Like the more prosaic of the ones. Like one looks like an actual light craft. Oh my god.
Recreational type stuff, you know? Like here's some more footage of just like the family hanging out. It's like this is what you would normally record, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, what's that up in the sky? And you can't help but be like, sorry kid, there's some weird white UFOs flying in the sky. That's a damn cute kid though. Hey, don't look both ways when you cross the street.
Then the kid immediately just runs into traffic. It's like, that is a bad kid. No, we
And
don't
that's
play
why
in
they
traffic.
That's why they invented kid leashes. Son of a biscuit.
Dude, I read Stephen King's Pet Sematary when I was like, well, 6th grade, maybe. Too young to have read that stupid book. But basically, they have a 3-month-old that they're like, maybe a 3-year-old that they're playing with out in like the front yard, and they have this big, beautiful acreage in like the middle of nowhere, but they right at the edge of their property is like some 6-lane highway or something wild like that. So
God.
just the worst thing to it's Stephen King novel, so a very bad thing happens.
Right.
But it's like, man, that ruined me. It just with like if my kids would never go near a street ever. Stay far away from streets. You stay far away from pet cemeteries. For that matter, we stay far away from Stephen King. We leave him out of this. You know, that of the whole equation. But yeah, no, that was bad, dude. And the kid was playing with a kite, so it started out like and this is the whole thing. Stephen King is Mr. Detail, so he's describing the scene, having a fun family weekend, playing with kites, and a happy child, and then bad thing, terrible, awful thing happens. But yeah, so no, I would be just like you. I would
pop my balloon.
The wind who stole my beautiful kite. But not just to have like Stephen King's vivid detail. Like I've never seen him write anything happy, but he started this out as a happy family weekend, and it turned to awful, terrible things.
Hold on, I gotta put in the notes. What's that book again? What's it called?
Pet Cemetery. I believe it's like within the first 300 pages
one.
too.
Yeah.
But the
I thought
book.
you were talking about a different one.
No, this is the book, so it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's way worse, and it takes a way longer for him to start noticing bad shit from the Pet Cemetery consequences.
I had an epiphany the other day. Okay, have you ever read the book Sphere by Michael Crichton?
No, but I love the movie.
Oh, I'm sorry you love the movie, buddy, because the movie was a big pile of turd crap. But the book, here's what's amazing about the book, okay? The sphere in the book uses your own subconscious fears against you.
Yeah, no, you know what? I didn't read the book. I listened to the audiobook because they've got it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Or from time to time. So I know, No worries, but it doesn't count as reading it, so that's why it didn't click that I had.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
But
It's sort of. I just didn't do the work. That's all.
The whole thing with them being able to find your subconscious fears and then use those fears against you to manipulate you to do something one way or another, it's like, oh, that's like Skinwalker Ranch, or oh, that's like all these other paranormal places in Utah, or oh, it's like, it's a thing, dude. It's 100% a thing. There's not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt. Okay. You know, it seems like we talk about less war every time we elect a new president, and every time we have a new president, we get into more war. What the fuck is that about?
No, that makes sense. It makes sense. If you think about it, you would need a wartime president because that's what numbers like. That is the only reason why. Numbers go up or down or something when that happens.
Who likes it? The parents sending their kids to get exploded, they like
Nope.
it?
Nope. The 3 or 4 people who get to decide what everyone else likes. You know what I mean? This is
don't have to go.
Yeah, well, where the ones that benefit from the war racket, you know what I mean? Like there's always war profiteers. There's a whole section of like war crimes that exist for people who make a certain amount of money and then egg on both sides to then also profit yet again. That's instead of, oh man, because we saw a lot of that with Vietnam, but where we noticed it more, like first was like World War II, like Ford got in a bunch of trouble for sending engines and stuff through the entire war. Sweden got in a bunch of trouble because they gave, but this is like after 41 or 42, so this is like when it was real bad before Germany went into full fucking crazy mode. They were getting funding and oil because you have to understand their engines and things were so sophisticated that they didn't work right unless they have certain chemicals preventing knocking, and this is like certain jet turbine rockets no one else was using. So Germany is the only place that needed this stuff. So all these other places were like, oh, well, they're going to give us money and things, so let's fucking send it over. The problem with Sweden was where they got off the hook was that they gave it to Germany for free. Like it was a donation of sorts, like as a, hey, don't come in and invade our place, just here's a bunch of resources. That's what they claimed. I think it was more they benefited in other ways probably. But then Vietnam, we saw that a whole bunch, mostly with it never ending, you know what I mean? Like it was
Oh yeah, if we hadn't left, we'd still be there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Same thing with Afghanistan. We could have spent generations in Afghanistan. I mean, we had sons and fathers serving together in Afghanistan.
Oh man, so all right, you were in the military. I did. You know what? This is a bit of a loaded question because I guess it's going to be insensitive and hard to answer. But when Biden
snapped me into PTSD.
I'm doing it, dude. It's happening now. It's happening now. All right. So, what do you think about Biden pulling the Band-Aid off and just saying like, "Fuck it, we're leaving," and like fucking a whole bunch of people over there, but it being done now, or if it were still going on in full swing today, but they were kind of talking about easing back? Where are you at? You don't even have to answer because I understand that's a shit question.
I do have an opinion. It's an opinion that's probably not going to be very popular, but it is my truth and my opinion, so I will say it. And that is, war is the most barbaric, terrible thing this world has ever created. And when you engage in war, to think that you can leave with no blood on your hands is just ignorant. You fight wars to win. You don't fight wars for fun. And I think that at the end of the day, the U.S. is always going to do what the U.S. needs to do to maintain the most military might in the country. I think Afghanistan, we needed to get the fuck out of there. We've been over there for 20 years, y'all. Osama bin Laden's been dead for 10, 15 of those years. If those folks can't stop shooting their own children because they want to go to school, we got our own problems. We got children that are shooting our schools, right? We need to fix that before we start worrying about honor killings halfway around the world because it's part of a culture we're not a part of. It's a very loaded situation with religions that go back thousands of years. And a white boy podcaster is probably the last person to give a good opinion on it. But I just think that we see what happens when things escalate. You get Israel essentially demolishing an entire village full of people. And the whole international community is okay with that. It's fucking weird, man. It's really weird that we are in this era of war. War is a money-making machine. And that's kind of my thought. And we don't want to fight Russia or China straight on. So we're going to have a battle in Yemen with some of our forces and some of the Chinese forces or some of the Russian forces. They're proxy wars, right? Because we don't want to get into a full skirmish because nobody wants to hit the nuke button. Not even Putin, as crazy as he sounds, wants to start a nuclear war because he knows, forget rebuilding the USSR. The USSR, the United States, the whole world would be in rubble. You're not restarting anything at that point, and everybody's dead. Mutually assured destruction. It's a thing. It is a thing. What are your thoughts?
All right. So now we're best friends. So I think we should tell everybody in here we're besties. My opinion and your opinion can be totally different. And we're still going to give each other bracelets and like go on camping trips and stuff. But I disagree. Have you ever tried friendship? You know what I mean? Just friendships. If the military went in with like flowers and friendship, high-fiving, I learned, is very fun. I've never been in a fight before. I don't think anybody's ever actually been mad at me. So, no, I agree with you, dude. It's hard. I asked you a hard question. I asked you a hard-ass question.
You would have rolled into Afghanistan with some flowers after they just killed 3,000 Americans.
Nice fucking flowers, man. Like 3,000 flowers. And I've been like, this is for the boys. You're going to apologize, and we're going to try friendship now.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You'd say that from real far away, though, at first. You approach very slow. You say that loudly from real far away with your hands up, with the flowers. You know, you say, hey, ho, please stop the shooting at me. And I think that's kind of like probably what people fucking think, because war is hard, dude. War is hard. Dude. Thank you for your service. That's kind of also why I wanted to ask, because you've been in what they call the shit. So
war is stupid, and nobody out there actually fighting the wars, unless there's a very just cause wants to be there. That's why the Russians can't take over Ukraine, because they got no heart. They got no heart. It's not about equipment. It's not about the means. It's not about the strategy. They're fucking tired, and they're fighting in a war they don't really believe in. And that's what happens, you know? And that's what happened to us in Iraq. We went into Iraq. We didn't find any weapons of mass destruction. Not a fucking drop. Not a chemical test. Nothing. And that was the whole reason we invaded this entire country and toppled their leadership, was because they had weapons of mass destruction and they were friends with this terrorist that, oh, by the way, but they're friends.
Well, not for nothing, we invaded, right? And then Hillary Clinton also then came out afterwards claiming the same thing. You know, that's like the battle cry of the corrupt is that, especially since, like, what happened when we found it? Like, we're, you know, we are talking political, so we're going to get a little political.
Oh, I go all over, yeah.
Israel essentially did the same thing when they got the atomic bomb plans from us, you know, in the back channels. We found out about it. We were not happy about it because that's fucking espionage, and that is the worst kind in our book for nuclear type of espionage. You know, like
how about what's his guy? Electronic guy. Come on, help me out here. The electric guy.
Peter Thistle.
No. It was the big argument between DC and AC.
Oh, Tesla and Edison?
Tesla. Okay. Tesla said that he could do that.
Well, this is the thing, right? Like, everyone who goes and fucks around with Israel, and I'm talking about like just rocketry, you're going to notice this with Parsons, right? Because we are, here's a little plug for our future venture.
Oh, yeah,
we are going to be doing a little Parsons investigation, and one thing that Parsons does is he goes to Israel and gets caught bringing rocketry planes over there, and essentially gets a little slap on the wrist when he comes back. Gets investigated.
And they weren't even his plans.
Oh, that's the funniest part too. Can you imagine that?
He stole
like his. He is the guy he is, right? Like we attribute modern rocketry to a lot of his innovations until we then got von Braun. But like he was the earlier von Braun. I don't even want to equate him to that because he is American and not a Nazi. But yeah, like he was our earliest rocket engineer that gave us great success, right? And we'd like to, I don't know, put him on a bit of a pedestal, right? So he goes to Israel with rocket plans that aren't even his own. That to me is the funniest thing ever. Like, his ego should have stopped him at the door. You know, it'd have been like, all right, you know what? I'm going to put these down. I'm going to get my own plans because I have made. It's probably because he was too busy making sexy funny time with his magician friends playing D&D on the weekends. And he forgot to build the rockets.
He was a D&D guy?
Now, he would have been cooler if he did, man.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was doing early D&D before it was D&D, before him and Elron figured out that, you know, if we just write a script to this, it makes it a lot less chaotic, you know, and you also just can't shout things in the middle of a role play.
One thing that I thought of was like, what a con job to get somebody into a cult where like anything goes, you just take what you want. So you get the guy into the cult and you're like, I'm going to take your wife because that's what I want. So, and he's just down with it. It's like, okay, I guess that's the rules. Holy guacamole, dude. I think it's funny too, Mike. It's fucking insane. It is fucking insane. And these cats were the only ones that had enough balls to light this shit on fire and see if it works, because it's not like there were other groups. The Suicide Squad, they were the ones. There wasn't another group out there that was like, yeah, jet propulsion, we're all about it. Jet propulsion was like science fiction when these guys were doing it. Like, you have to put that into perspective. This was something that had not even been legitimized yet.
Well, this is also goes back to like why they were called Suicide Squad, right? Like they're in college, and Jack is not exactly in college. He's kind of like hanging around. He's lurking.
Adjacent.
Yeah. He's like friends with benefits of a few institutions, but on campus. Well, him and his four compadres would essentially blow themselves out of laboratories on a daily basis. to where they were called the Suicide Squad because at any given point they could blow themselves up of their own volition.
Some did. And some did.
Yep. Very true. And some succeeded in that goal. I wonder where, right? Because it's like early jihad tactics.
Yes.
This is the start. I think we could say that. We could put that on the books. Not any respectable books. Comic books. We'll put that on the comic books. We'll make a comic book about that.
Well,
Jack Parsons. Not a respectable comic book. This will be ones you can't get in the stores. You know what I mean? You got to pay an extra $2 or $3 for those
ones. Keep them behind the counter. Brown bag.
Yeah, the brown with geez, man, those are just as bad as the porno magazines. You can't get a respectable porno magazine anymore. Well, you can't be respectable buying one, I should say.
I don't know.
You shouldn't be doing that, folks.
The last thing I saw in that regards did not seem very respectable in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so
it's like
we'll talk more about the alien stuff. Here's one again, a recent posting: alien hunting, looking undersea, says Republican congressman. Now this is referring to that Tim Burchett video we just watched, and we've been hearing this for a while. Underwater. Were you a fan of The Abyss?
Yes, very much so. I'm a fan of submarines. I'm a fan of watery things. I don't like the water. I will stay out of the water if I can. I don't even like rain that much. But watery, cool investigations, fun stuff. So
you even thought about
I thought about it, and then
submarine guy, right?
Then I thought about it again, and I was like, the water is very dangerous. So I didn't do it because I'm a chicken shit. And I was like, a watery death is... Yeah, no, I knew what it was because the guy laughed when I said, I told him I'm chickening out. I said, before we start any of the paperwork, I chicken out. Can I do something else? And he said, there's tons of things you can do on land as well. And I was like, great, let's talk about those things.
Okay.
Well, he started getting to 6 months underwater. You pop back up, get some air and things, and exchange. Then you may go back underwater, though. There's a possibility you have the supplies to go then back underwater.
When a recruiter says there's a possibility, that means that definitely will happen.
Yep. That's what I took away from that exchange because he looked down at his paperwork and shuffled around and said that bit quietly.
Yeah.
Because I was like, 6 months, you say.
When they say recruiters lie, cheat, and steal, recruiters lie, cheat, and steal. That is a fact, my friend. But
he also told me
we have a
that if
army. Yeah, go ahead.
Said if I wear the adequate outfit, he would shoot me out of a torpedo tube, and I think he lied about that one too.
Dude, that would be pretty sweet.
That's what I thought.
As long as you don't hit anything, There's some
yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, even a small fish would be a problem at that point. It just implode from hitting
your face.
A guppy. Oh, jeez, that would be terrible. Just see your shin, like as you're going through the rifling. I assume there's some sort of rifling on the inside of those torpedo tubes, right? But it just shears your skin off as you go through. You don't rifle. You don't spin it all, but your skin is sheared off in a corkscrew type fashion. Oh, geez.
It's corkscrew type fashion. All right.
But now, how many of these things are back to the aliens? We'll go back to the aliens. I know you like the aliens.
Yes.
So, how much of these prosaic things happen at night? Because I would imagine it's easier seeing at least the iridescent or the lighted ones at night than it is during the day.
Do I if I see anything?
No, just reports in general.
Oh, I think they usually do come at night, which is also weird because I've just always, especially lately with the drones, why do they have the lights on? What is the deal with the lights? You travel all the way over here, you can't see without the lights on? Or you're worried about something wrong? What is with the mother effing lights? And then some of them are FAA lights. You'll see green And they're like, oh, there's a drone swarm. We had to shut down the airport. It's like, why don't you just shoot him with one of those little drone guns and just take him out? Like, what is the problem? It's just so weird to me. I don't know if what happened in Denmark was just like recreationalist drones or if it was Russian operatives just trying to fuck with them. I really don't know, but it seems like there should be an easier way than to just shut down the airport and wait for them to get done playing their little game. Because it's not like they're doing anything. Like they're not dropping grenades on anything. They're not causing any damage that I know of. So I mean, what's the point? Just take them out. Get on with our days. I'm getting to the point where it kind of feels like it's just like maybe some prank. You know, I don't know if.
Well, that's cool. I like the prank angle, especially if it's like government. Because this is what I think, right? Like, I'll go through a list of things I think, right, real quick.
Yeah.
The Swedish stuff is ours, right? Like the things seen over Sweden is ours. The stuff that we saw was like a bit of China, a bit of Russia, a bit of whatever. Like we're all playing quote unquote war games, right? So we're testing our tech on each other and ourselves, right? Because we want to know if we can fool ourselves. That's great to know. We want to know if we can fool them. That's even better, right? So if we all agree, hey, I won't blow up your new tech or screw with your stuff, and you can just take it back, but like we test our radar systems and things. Because then, like, I like to play out a couple of different scenarios. Why would that be helpful? Because technically you're helping your enemies. Well, if this 3-Eye Atlas thing or any kind of like alien invasion, we would have to already have an apparatus where we're kind of cool with each other and going after a third option, right? Or maybe it's like, because let's say it's prosaic, right? And like we are seeing UFO stuff, right? And this whole time, the narrative would then have to be like, we've reverse engineered the stuff, because I've seen some of the things out of Sweden, and one of them looked like a drone version. Like, and by drone I only mean unmanned, like a UAV, right? But of a B-2 bomber. Like that to me is weird, right? Like I saw Saucer when I was a kid, and this was already when they were like, because I was kind of into UFOs, like as much as a little kid who'd never seen one. Up until like 14, I saw a saucer, silent with lights, and like I looked that if I got real good, I could probably throw a baseball at it. Like that's how close this thing was, like pretty dang close. But it was silent and it had lights, and it just too many weird things in a time where triangles were already huge, like.
Yeah, that's the one thing I saw.
Oh, you saw a triangle? Yeah, oh, that's so dang cool.
It was weird. It was very, very. But yeah, that's the only thing. I never saw like UFO discs, or I don't think I was ever abducted or anything like that. But yeah, one night, pre-cell phones, young person, I was with my sister. We were like on some big field in the middle of summer. We were just like looking up, making shapes out of the clouds, and this black V-shaped craft just comes kind of slowly cruising in right over us. And it didn't stop like right immediately over us, but really close to right immediately over us. And it just like stopped. And it just turned like 90 degrees and just took off that way. And like we left.
Wild.
And we didn't even really talk about it. It was like, well, that was weird. Huh. So yeah, it was weird, man. But that's what's really gotten my interest about it ever since, and then when the X-Files came out in the 90s, I was like, okay, so there might be a little something, even though it's like totally fiction stories. Like it seemed like they were giving it a little bit of credibility.
Yeah, but there were a couple of people who worked on that had like FBI credentials, like, you know what I mean? Like some people helped them out with things, and that's on books.
In that book, American Cosmic, have you read that yet?
Oh, no. Is it good?
So Tim Taylor takes her and Gary Nolan to this space. They had to wear blindfolds all the way out there. But this place in the desert where there was apparently leftovers of a wrecked crash. And he said when they were there, he was like, do you recognize this scene over there?" She was like, "I don't. It looks kind of familiar." And he was like, "That's a scene that we gave them that shot to use in the first X-Files movie." So it was a real shot of where actual alien artifacts were believed to be. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool. That's awesome.
That's a crazy Easter egg. Yeah. So then I had to, of course, go watch X-Files again, and I was like, "Oh, all the little Easter eggs I missed. Nuts." Okay, let's do this. I want to share a video. Now this is NASA urgent warning since 3i Atlas came up. Images show something that shouldn't be possible.
The head of NASA confirms 3i Atlas is not natural and the alien object now moving closer to Earth.
Are there other planets elsewhere that there is life? Now, I know what you've seen, and there have been some 300 sightings since then. I've talked to those pilots, and they know they saw something, and their radars locked onto it. And then all of a sudden it was here on the surface, and then it's there. And they don't know what it is, and we don't know what it is. Who am I to say that planet Earth is the only location of a life form that is civilized and organized like ours?
First images looked ordinary, just another comet-like blur against a starry backdrop. But when NASA sharpened the data, what emerged was so strange that even veteran scientists refused to comment on record. The interstellar visitor, known as 3i Atlas, already infamous for bending the rules of orbital mechanics, has revealed something no natural object should ever display. Hidden within the latest high-resolution captures are patterns, structures, and behaviors that seem engineered, not random. And if these images are real, they could change everything we thought we knew about the universe. The image that changed everything. When the James Webb Space Telescope first locked onto 3i Atlas, the expectation was straightforward: gather higher resolution data on the comet-like visitor and confirm its unusual chemistry. But the latest imaging campaign, coordinated between Webb, Hubble, and several ground-based observatories, produced a revelation so bizarre it nearly didn't get released. At first glance, the composite looked like a standard false-color shot of a distant object, faint and fuzzy. But when astronomers enhanced the spectrum and layered multiple exposures, something unexpected appeared: geometric symmetry. Unlike any known comet or asteroid, 3i Atlas displayed sharp, repeating angular forms hidden within its tail, parallel lines that ran like scaffolding, intersecting at near-perfect 90-degree angles. Some researchers dismissed it as image processing artifacts. Immediate. Online forums lit up with theories ranging from alien megastructures to cloaked spacecraft. Elon Musk joked on X that maybe it's time to stop calling them comets, while others drew comparisons to Oumuamua, the infamous first interstellar object that Avi Loeb controversially suggested could be artificial. This time, however, the imagery left less room for dismissal. NASA has not officially declared the geometry artificial, but leaked memos suggest the agency is quietly assembling a dedicated task force to analyze the raw data. What's at stake isn't just whether 3i Atlas is natural, it's whether we just photographed technology older than humanity itself. But the strangest revelation wasn't in the tail, it was in the core, where the impossible became undeniable. Inside the impossible core, the deeper researchers pushed into the enhanced web data, the more disturbing the picture became. At the heart of 3i Atlas, where one would expect a dark, rocky nucleus like any comet, the telescope registered emptiness. Not a solid mass, not a faint glow of ice sublimating, but an absence, a region that absorbed all incoming wavelengths, leaving nothing but a hole in the data. One analyst from ESA described it as a black spot in reality itself. And yet this void wasn't silent. The imaging revealed something stranger: pulses. Every 11.2 seconds, the dark nucleus flickered with a faint infrared signature, like a heartbeat. The rhythm was exact, repeating across hours of exposure. Normally, natural processes are messy, irregular, noisy. This was not. This was a signal. When cross-referenced against parallax measurements, something even more impossible emerged. The pulses coincided with subtle distortions in background starlight, twisting into spirals instead of the curved arcs produced by normal gravitational lensing. It was as though 3I Atlas wasn't just bending light, it was rewriting it. That means the core isn't a rock, but some kind of space-time cavity, folding geometry in ways that standard physics cannot explain. Scientists at Caltech quietly floated a radical idea. The core might be a transit chamber, an engineered pocket where space itself is compressed, allowing the object to jump distances without inertia. In other words, it could be a form of propulsion, one far beyond anything human civilization can build. The public never got those details in official NASA briefings. Instead, what leaked through whistleblowers was enough to ignite a firestorm. News outlets reported the heartbeat of 3I Atlas. Social media dubbed it the alien engine, and conspiracy circles claimed governments were preparing for contact. But if the core wasn't solid, if it was an engineered void, then the real question became chilling. What lies inside it? The patterns nobody can explain. When the raw image stacks of 3I Atlas were enhanced and layered, something bizarre emerged across its outer shell. Instead of chaotic gas and dust, researchers noticed geometric streaks, lines and arcs repeating at consistent intervals, almost like etchings across the object's surface. These weren't random. They aligned into grids, spirals, and sharp angles that no natural comet or asteroid has ever shown. At first, skeptics suggested image processing errors. Perhaps cosmic rays struck the detectors, or digital noise created illusions of order. But repeated observations from independent instruments, NASA's James Webb, the Very Large Telescope in Chile, and even amateur astronomers using deep sky CCDS confirmed the same shocking truth. The patterns were real. Even more unnerving was how they behaved. Over time, the streaks shifted, glowing faintly in the infrared. They weren't fixed scars or cracks in the surface. They seemed to move across 3I Atlas, like currents in a magnetic field or coded transmissions scrolling across a screen. The intervals between the glowing streaks matched prime number sequences, just as SETI had long predicted an intelligent signal might. Coincidence, or the deliberate hand of design? But the most disturbing revelation was still to come, because as the patterns grew brighter, they began to interact with nearby starlight, bending and twisting beams into precise shapes that looked alarmingly like symbol. If 3I Atlas was trying to communicate, what was it saying? And who or what was meant to hear it?
How does my mic sound? Because I'm getting like quite a bit of shenanigans on my end, but it could just be my setup.
It sounds fine to me.
Okay, it sounds good now. No, that's just wild, dude. Like, especially it's like the third object. I don't know about the grid patterns being a rune system. That's kind of wild. I would assume, if anything, it helps with like aerodynamics, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, more than anything. But at that speed, you wouldn't need aerodynamics.
Yeah, and the thing is like this is only the third one in recorded history, so it's not like we have this huge backlog of data, so that all these things that they're saying right now are as shocking as they're trying to make them sound, because we don't really know how things that fly in and out of galaxies really work. So that's kind of been my feeling on it, is like, let's not panic. The closest it's going to get to us is like thousands of miles away from Mars, so we'll be okay. That's my opinion on the matter.
Well, yeah, and the whole, like, I don't know, I just don't put too much into the, oh man, that the fact that you can't see through it, it's not giving any feedback or anything like that. It could just be super dense material that doesn't read on the specific, I guess, radar filter they're using, right?
I guess. I don't know. And then I know they were, Avilob and Luna were talking about getting the end lifespan of Juno to shoot it out there and see if they could get some pictures of it. But again, I mean, that seems like Fuck. Like if I worked for, if I
Well,
was on
not
that Juno
there's
program, I'd be pissed.
there's 6 things it passes on the way over here. There's already 6. There's supposed to be 9 in total. 9 probes that it goes that will be able to see it on its way, like past Earth and shit. Like that's so weird too, because none of those. Yeah, it's going to pass along their natural orbit. Google it right now, because none of the images have really come out, but it is passing. Because there's also a diagram that shows you where on its trajectory it is now and what it's passed so far that has gotten images.
So what are your thoughts on it? What do you think it is?
It could be any of the proposed theories, but the likelihood of some of the things they're saying, I think, are a little too shoddy, a little too early. But it's the silence is what speaks to me more, like from NASA and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we should have had clearer images by now.
Yeah, let's I'm going to look into that tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can find anything more that NASA's released on it and maybe hold a little space on that. Because it is interesting. I mean, I was very resistant. I was like, no, it's a fucking rock. It's a scientist just trying to get, his grant for his research paper. It's pretty much par for the course. The more you can make it a big deal, the easier it is to get your funding for those papers and resources for those papers. So that's what I felt like he did with the Muamua, and that's kind of what I feel like is going on with this one, because a guy like him knows it's going to have and it's going to do strange things throughout the solar system because it's only the 3rd recorded one. So anything it does is going to be super different than the whole 2 that we looked at previously. So that's what I felt like. I was like, but now, the more I get to watch Avi Loeb, I don't know that he's a grifter. He seems like he's very passionate about what he's saying. He believes what he's saying. And he just wants to go at it with a scientific approach. And if that's the case, then no harm, no foul. Avi, go for it, buddy. I just worry about people getting scared. And, when he says things like, I know rich people that are selling all their shares if the thing doesn't come on the other side of the moon when it's supposed to. It's like, well, that's you might just want to say that to your friends, not on national TV.
Whoa, can you imagine that's how we figured out? It skirts behind the moon and then just doesn't come back.
Well, that's what he says. He says if it goes behind the moon and then we don't see it come out the other side when it's supposed to, we know that it's basically hit the air brakes and something weird's going on. So
I'm not going to lie, that would be weird. Like, I don't have an explanation for why it would want to do that. Yeah. The moon's not that cool. There ain't shit up there.
Yeah, I would probably shit my pants at that point. So, okay, federal shutdown. What's your feelings on the shutdown?
I think they should shut more stuff down. I think shut it all down, dude. Shut them up. Shut them down. I wonder what work they are doing, dude. Like, do you hear about what was like 250 of them went over to Israel at one point in time? Like, not so much that you're like, this is what pissed me off about that. Like, just on the face of it, no politics. The face of it, you have 250 politicians and leaders going over at one point in time. Like, dumb. In one building at one point in time. Dumb. In a hostile Middle Eastern territory. Dumb. Just everything on the face of it. But they all got back. They all went there and got back safely somehow. Not one single weird incident. And they all announced that they were there. All that really got my hackles up.
That's our military might for you right there. They know if they would have messed with any of those people, it would have been a problem. A big problem for them.
Oh yeah. Well, did you see when Trump was leaving? I believe it was like Iran when he first got in and he was talking to like a bunch of world leaders. But like they were like, sure, no problem. We will even help escort you out of here to make sure it's as safe as possible, because we do not want the shit that would occur if anything were to actually happen, especially by any bad actors from elsewhere, But it was cool. It was also cool to see Jess from Iran. I believe it was from. I don't know, man. Do you no other place is talking about this? Especially like just going back to the 3i Atlas thing. Like no other nations are bringing this up, because we should all be in unison, be in shock. So that's kind of
well,
weird.
if it's a real thing, which makes me think that's the thing. Like, there's just a lot of things that point me towards maybe not a grift, but just a move to get a lot of funding for his research. There could totally be something to it. Don't get me wrong. He's pointed out enough strangeness that it should at the very least be investigated. I don't know about reassigning missions that have been going on for over a decade, like Juno, especially when you come to the very end of it, probably one of the most important parts. But if that's what, they feel needs to be done, if you can get enough consensus on that, go for it. I don't have a PhD. If you all think that is the way to go and we're going to get the most knowledge that way, great. I would just hate to see us waste it all over another picture of a rock flying through space, because I think that's all we're going to get.
Well, this is what should go to private then, right? Like, because then Bigelow can put his money where his mouth is. He says he wants to work on extraterrestrial materials, and we'll fucking go get one. Do you think that this could be it? Work?
Here's a question for you. Do you think that's what he'd do if he actually believed it?
Yeah, big time. Right. Like if Bigelow had the opportunity to acquire some material, but he'd have to work to get said material, I think he'd do it. He did it in that fashion when he was trying to get those materials. I forgot who was supposed to give it to him, but
if he thought that this was real for 1 second, he'd already have a team together figuring out how to go out there and scrape something off of it. That's my feeling.
Yeah. But this is the whole thing. Like, why would NASA? Why would everyone help him grift?
No, he's rich enough. He can do it on his own.
Well, no, I know, but they
CIA, they all owe him big time, buddy.
All right, touche. Okay. Now you filled in the blanks there, enough for me anyway.
They owe him big time. Whatever he did for them is like he's taking that to the grave. He's not going to let us know. Pretty crazy. It's like a different era. You know what I mean? Like these cats
so now,
just say whatever.
Is this a normal shutdown that we're seeing from the federal government, or does this have to do with the?
Yeah, so like every year around September-ish, they're like, oh, we better get the bill passed, or there's going to be a shutdown. We got to get the bill passed. There's going to be a shutdown. But then eventually they get the bill passed, and then everybody eventually gets paid, and everybody gets their jobs back, and that's how it goes. Well, this is a little bit different apparently, because I guess the left is using their power of the purse to hold back pushing this legislation through that they think is going to cause all these healthcare workers to lose insurance, all of these workers to lose rights. And then you have the other side of it, the Republican side of it, and their response. So my goal was to play both responses. If you got to kick it out of here, no worries, buddy. But I think maybe you'll find some interesting points in here. This is just to look at kind of how both sides are looking at it, and like, is middle ground even possible? Because it just seems like they're so busy calling each other names and making personal attacks. It's really hard to sign a deal with someone who just, called you a piece of shit. So, okay. So this is, looks like 40 minutes long, but I don't know that we'll go through the whole thing. This is the Republican response, and you know that because if you zoom in there, you see on the podium it says the Democratic shutdown. That's how you know it's the Republican. And then I bet when we load up the Republican one or the Democrat one, it will say the Republican shutdown. So,
yeah, all right. I mean, let's do it, bud.
All right, here we go. Should be quite humorous. Let's see if we can get these guys up on the stage here. Let's go. This is what's funny when you do a live show, though. Like when I did the UAP hearings, because at moments like this, you could just kind of joke around and talk shit and look shit up.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Cause plus those hearings, they get so funny, and then they decide at like random times when they're going to finally do their little lunch break and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we got pictures. We got pictures. Who are those losers? Get out of there. Votes to pay troops and federal workers. So yeah, so that's a big part of how That's a big part of how they're framing it, y'all, is that if this doesn't get through, soldiers are not going to get paid. I can tell you, unless things have changed, soldiers don't get paid much anyway, but to get paid even less, that's going to be a hit.
Well, I just love how they're so willing to just take all your rights away, as a leverage point for whatever nonsense political shit they want to get passed.
Yeah. Gamble with other people's survival. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, here we go. Come on. 20 minutes later. Goodness. Here we go. We got some action. Don't forget, everybody, remember to give my hand. Yes.
Hurrah, hurrah.
The brave souls fighting the democratic shutdown.
Hear ye, hurrah, hurrah.
Welcome, everyone. Day 10 of the Democrat government shutdown.
Democrat government
We're not
shutdown.
in a good mood here in the Capitol. It's a somber day.
Aw.
Today marks the first day federal workers across America will receive a partial paycheck thanks to Democrats' obstruction to the system here.
Bastards.
This is the last paycheck that 700,000 federal workers will see until Washington Democrats decide to do their job and reopen the government. Starting next week, American service members, many of whom live paycheck to paycheck, are going to miss a full paycheck. If Democrats don't end this shutdown by Monday, then that October 15th date will pass us by. You've got millions of American families who will now have to figure out how to make their mortgage, how to cover their rent, pay the car note, keep food on the table, because Democrats, Chuck Schumer and his colleagues in the Senate are here playing games. Republicans have voted over and over to end this madness and reopen the federal government. We did our job. By way of reminder, the House passed a clean, nonpartisan CR 3 weeks ago today to keep the government funded and, by extension, to pay our troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents and air traffic controllers and the rest of our federal workforce. We had that vote 3 weeks ago. And since then, Senate Democrats closed. In the Senate, they have now voted 7 times to block paychecks for 2 million federal civilian workers and 1.3 million active duty military men and women. Now, I want to be very specific so that everybody in America can clearly cut through the obstruction and understand exactly who is to blame for this chaos. In fact, would you bring me that chart just real quick? I just want to point this out. Let's just make
aliens.
clear. This is the votes to pay troops and federal workers, okay? This is the number of times that the vote has been done. September 10th, the GOP in the House voted to pay the troops and pay all these federal workers. The Senate did it on September 19th, September 30th, again on October 1st, and 3rd, and 6th, and the 8th, and the 9th. Every single time the Republicans voted to pay the troops and federal workers, and every single time the Democrats voted not to. That is the record. They'll continue to put this bill on the floor. It'll be on the floor again next week in the Senate, and we'll see how many times they want people to go without paychecks. The Republicans are not playing games here. We sent a very clean, simple CR. You see this. Thank you so much for that. We are doing.
I love that. We're not playing games here, okay? If we have to make sure that workers don't get paid to get the deal we want, look, that's what we're going to do. We're not playing games. Okay, asshole.
I just don't know.
Making sure.
Like your security, right? This is the nation's security, right? So I'm just going to look at it as like a security guards, right? Like you as a private business owner, you have security guards, and then you all of a sudden you're just like, I want you to stay an extra hour overtime. I'm not going to pay you for it. And if you say no, I'm just not going to pay you at all, and you're still going to have to do your job, and I'm going to expect you to save my life every day. Like, how are you going to do that with the men and women that protect, and then the healthcare workers, the men and women that are going to like fix you up when you are sick? Like, it's mentally deranged that they hold your fucking salary over your head and expect you to fix and protect them.
And the fact that they both lay out the crystal clear reasons of why it's the other party's side. It's their fault, right? Like, we're doing everything right. We've given them everything they could possibly want. Don't know. They're just not agreeable. But then you hear the same thing from the other side.
The one super shocking aspect to me is like, okay, I get it. I get a politician's going to politician, but like there are some politicians that have had like military careers and things like that who have fought for this country, where it's like, you really shouldn't be allowing this to be going on, and you should be trying extra hard to make sure nobody gets fucked in the same way. You know, you would have potentially gotten screwed over.
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing is like, and like it's right now we're in this state where it's not total panic because people still think that they're going to get this figured out before they start really losing their paychecks or their health insurance. And the reason I bring it up now is because, folks, look around you. Look at what's been happening. We have federal and state law enforcement's butting heads in cities because state law enforcement is being felt to be the feds are taking over. This is happening at the border. This is happening all over the country. And just be aware because what's going on right now is fucking shenanigans, and I'm calling it. Help me finish my thought here, Flak. I was going somewhere with that. I know I was. Oh, of course. Audio issues with Flak. Of course.
No, I'm here. I'm getting some food together.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, I think just what I was trying to say is that these folks don't care about the average Joe, right? Or Jill. They just don't. And it's like every year that I go and I vote for some of these jokers, I always end up with the same disappointments. I always let myself get my hopes up high and think, oh, maybe this is the one. I think this might be the one. Do y'all remember Obama? Obama was the first president I was able to vote for. And I was very excited for that. I thought we were making a major, major change. Like, I even worked on his campaign. It's like, yes, we can. Yes, we can. And then
the man just wanted some change. He just wanted a little bit of change.
That was it.
That's
yes,
it.
We can. Yes, we can.
And I was big into Obama too, and then Bernie right after that.
Yeah. But then it was like he got in there and Guantanamo stayed open. The same people were running Wall Street, and he killed more people with drones than any other president in the history of the United States. He even killed an American citizen with a drone without a trial. And he kept Guantanamo open. I mean, this is all stuff that was supposed to be changed. And it's like I start to realize it really doesn't matter who wins. It matters to them for their self-ego, but it really doesn't matter to the rest of us. And when you can call it deep state, or you can call it whatever the fuck you want to call it, but there is an undercurrent that is moving things a certain way, and you can either get on the canoe or swim against the current until you die. And that kind of seems like that's the way it goes with these folks. I don't know if you saw that documentary.
It's nuts.
Swamp.
I probably have. This is a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, a couple years ago on HBO. It's absolutely shocking. This guy's first 2 weeks in office, like he just gets to Washington, D.C., and he's spending almost every single hour of every single day making calls to raise more money. Like, that's what they do from the very, because you have to not only pay your dues, you have to pay your dues to the GOP or to the Republican Party or whatever party you belong to. You have to pay your dues to them. And so you're not governing, you're fundraising all the fucking time. All the time. All right, I digress. I'm sorry. You see these
No,
politicians
that's
at
cool.
work.
That's kind of like what Charlie got himself into recently, right? Like, but that's what happens when you build your company upon fundraising and fundraising only. Like, I know that's the nature of the beast, fruit of the poison tree, as they say. And rest in peace, Charlie. This is nothing against him. But he was a beautiful fucking soul that wanted peace and love in his own way. So nothing against that. It's just I'm talking about the apparatus of like running on donations. You're essentially subservient to who you're taking them in
Donors.
from, and that's same with same with politics, Congress, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you watch that American Greed show, if you ever watch that, and you're like, how did these people do this for 6 years? And it's because they were paying someone off. That's how. Like maybe that person got off.
Oh yeah, big time.
Or something, but there's always like they don't do it alone. They do it with the helper of another person who is weak, just like the rest of us, in the right position. Where if promised loads and loads of money, would probably say yes. I mean, let's be real.
Oh, exactly.
Let's just be
exactly. Real. And now you throw pharmaceuticals into that, right? Like just lobbying money, because we don't go into politics, but we go into fucking just the doctors that get money for like just over prescribing. It's nuts.
I passed my test to become a technician in this. I was lucky enough not to get a job at a Rite Aid, right, behind the counter and all that. I got on with what's called a specialty pharmacy. So you don't deal with customers, right? Like you put the drugs together, you put them together in packaging, freeze the dry ice, make sure it's all sealed, and you send it out. So you get your orders, you put them in. It's kind of like warehouse work, but with drugs. And so that was great. But then like I would start looking at the invoices. And I remember one time I had this, it was a vial like yay big, little teeny guy. Okay. And inside of it was a white liquid. And there was like a couple of flecks, like it was glitter or something, like silver glitter or something. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and the pharmacist behind me goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, be careful with that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's a $26,000 dose. I said, what the fuck does it do? Does it give you the use of your legs back? And he goes, no.
Oh.
If you're having seizures so much that you cannot get your hands to release that clamp and that grip, you have to take this. And because you have to take this, they're going to charge the most that they possibly can. And that is how the drug companies work. The more you need it, the more they're going to charge. Yep. And I quit months later. I couldn't do it.
I remember they did they pulled that shit with the EpiPens, right? Like people who need EpiPens will die if they don't get one. They realized that.
Shithead that bought the Wu-Tang album.
70 I think it was like $75, which was pretty expensive for an emergency one-time use like injection. First off, pretty damn expensive.
Quadruple it or something?
400 went up to 400. Now it's probably like $1,000, or it might have gone down a little bit. But yeah, man, how crazy is that? Like I got a family member who has a peanut allergy, so like needed one of those at all times, and made sure that it was what's called like up to date, because they expire after a year. So like every year you got to spend now, or this is the whole thing. Like I guess insurance would cover it to a certain degree, but like that's criminal though.
It is. It's you know what else is weird? I find this timing very interesting, is that Jesse Michaels just dropped a video about how the secretive nature of UFOs and the UFO legacy program and advanced technologies very much mirrors the secretive influence and changes of the rich elite have had on science and our diet and our drugs ever since. Like the Rockefellers stepped in and said every drug needs to be oil-based. Period. And then not only that, they need to be oil-based, and every child needs to get them when they're born. That's why
it's wild.
Yeah.
And that's like the Rockefellers go so far back, right? Like, oh man, all these things, like because I don't know, I don't even know how to approach this subject, but it just goes back to like the Nazis and World War II, right? Like they were doing really, really terrible things in the name of science and medicine, you know, like
and
the
let's
twin
be real,
experiments.
some of the fucking awful things they did unfortunately did advance science.
Everything, it advanced every part of science.
I
It
mean,
advanced
I
medicine,
feel
it advanced. But
my stomach even saying that, but it's
right.
true.
But now, if you the worst part is you find out that, like, okay, yeah, the Nazis were bad. The Nazis had a name, but who funded the fucking Nazis? Because the Nazis were only the strong arm. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a mob, right? You take the mafia, for example. You have the henchmen roles. You have the upper bosses. You know what I mean? Like, you have your structure, right? But this would be they would have only been the crazy strong arm bad guy portion of that. You have the whole money men that was behind it. You know, like, but the real scary part about that is, like, you have the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, DuPonts, J.P. Morgan types. You know, you have all them, but then you also have the names that are not mentioned from other countries, right? Like that was only, like, we only barely know the U.S. influence, let alone like who else funded the war, like behind the scenes, all over the place. You know, but you're right, like, because that's the whole thing. You have the advancement of medicine through that vein, but then you also have paperclip. So not only do you have the advancement of the bad stuff, right, where we have now like virology and maybe not virology, but like a ramping up of viruses for bioweapons. Yeah. So like we have that. We have a lot of bad things they did that we kind of still also do, but then we also got them. We took 34 people in Nuremberg, right? That's who faced trial, and over 1,000 came here, and over 1,000 went to Russia. You know, that doesn't sound like justice. That sounds like an acquisition of a company, right?
Too, right?
Oh yeah, but that's the ones who ran away, who didn't get a deal. You know, like because then you have Brazil. They went to Brazil too. They also went to oh man, there are a few places, like I forgot who does it, but it's called like the rat lines, and that was like where things went after the war. You know, it was also some of the.
We're gonna have to do a space on this because that rabbit hole, I think to a lot of people, the whole Nazi rabbit hole is just fucking fascinating. I mean, the occult beliefs, the drug use, the blitzkriegs, the sacrifices, the concentration camps, just every possible atrocity. An evil dictator high on drugs, you know, just every possible atrocity you could imagine happening. Not to mention an entire nation behind him. It's just, it blows my mind how that happened.
Like, think of this. Think of like alien invasion, right? That's what's going on behind the scenes of World War II. So you have a nation who agreed to go along with it and then enact all its plans, right? Because that's what it seems like happened. And we're just in this fancy sci-fi talk right now. That's what seems like happened, right? Because you had some people willing to do the absolute worst things to mankind, but then it seems like there was no alien, right? Like the alien ruse is gone now, and the guise for all that is just, hey, look at where we are now with technology and things. Like, no, that's the benefit. You know, like, not that they ever use the alien thing, but like that's like the only mindset I can imagine is like, imagine you being the leader of a country, and like this thing comes in, scares the shit out of you, and is like, no, you're going to help me take over the rest of the world, and you're going to be my strong arm, but you're going to get rewarded at the end.
Right.
You know, like,
And it is the Majestic 12 that, you know, or a group similar to that. This group, you hear a lot about negotiations, agreements, you know, agreements with who? Negotiations, what?
Well, all right. So the textbooks would like you to think that it's nothing, right? Like it's a big nothing burger. Hitler, it just stemmed at the Treaty of Versailles and Germany being really upset about having to do all the reparations. So then you get a Hitler type that pops out and is like, "I'll bring us out of it," which is bullshit. First off, in order to do any of that, you need money. You need money to build any of the roads and infrastructure, any of the war type things. So we had to have banker backing, right? They also had to pay all that stuff back within a record amount of time. It was 78 years, I think, like 1986 was the amount of time that Germany would have had to pay back. Like, that's how long it would have taken normally.
I mean,
it's wild, man.
Yeah, but yes, we need to have a you know, fuck Nazi episode for sure. But I'm gonna get this one back on track. We'll get through it. This is the Republican response to what they call the Democratic shutdown, and why they just can't seem to get a deal through. It's just too tough.
That the American people are taken care of. But judging by their behavior right now, the Democrats don't appear to be in any rush to end this pain. There's some headlines I brought you this morning. I just want you to hear what's being said about this. CNN headline from yesterday, quote, Democrats say even missed paychecks for U.S. troops won't be enough to end the shutdown alone. For many of them, this is about showing a fight to President Trump. They have to show a fight against Republicans so they can appease who? The far left base of their party. It is shameful. And for what? Chuck Schumer, the architect of this shutdown, is trying to bow to the Marxist wing of his party. You heard him yesterday. He said in his own words, every day of the shutdown, he said, quote, gets better for us. Better for who, Chuck? For the Democrats in the Senate? So you can bow to the Marxist base and not get a challenge? Here's another headline from Politico yesterday. Quote, Chuck Schumer's critics are satisfied. Yeah, the far left base, the party is satisfied. They don't mind. The troops go without pay and civilian workers are furloughed.
The Marxist base. Interesting.
They don't care. Former DNC chair David Hogg, he heaped praise on Chuck Schumer as well. This is what Chuck Schumer was after. This is what he desires. The praise from the far left. David Hogg said, quote, give credit where credit's due. This is a big step up. A big step up. While you're delaying flights, while you're making people go through this pain. The co-founder of the far left group Indivisible said this yesterday publicly, quote, Chuck Schumer hasn't surrendered yet. I call that progress. There's one inescapable fact. It's a glaring fact that everybody in America can see. Chuck Schumer is hurting real Americans for his own political survival. I'm going to say that again. Chuck Schumer is hurting real Americans for his own political survival. If you're a service member who's not getting a paycheck, it's because Chuck Schumer has to appease the Marxist. Cut and simple. It's plain and simple. Shame on you, Chuck. Every Senate Democrat who's going along with this, you lack the moral fortitude to do the right thing. This is the first time in history, the first time in the history of the United States Congress that a party has shut down the government over a clean CR. We frankly didn't expect this. We sent over a no-frills 24-page document to keep the lights on, keep Congress working, to keep the paychecks flowing, and they stopped it because they're afraid of the far left. I'm just going to walk through a quick sample of the devastating impacts that Americans are feeling as we speak right here.
All right. Did I misunderstand that? They stopped it. They sent a bill over for basic needs and they stopped it because of the far left? Who stopped it? I'm so confused. Okay, I'm gonna go back just a minute.
They all stopped it. Technically, it was everybody. They all in unison just said, fuck the American people.
Yeah, but like what he just said, that it literally made no sense. Okay, I just gotta make sure I heard this right.
All that progress. There's one inescapable fact. It's a glaring fact that everybody in America can see. Chuck Schumer is hurting real Americans for his own political survival. I'm going to say that again. Chuck Schumer is hurting real Americans for his own political survival. If you're a service member who's not getting a paycheck, it's because Chuck Schumer has to appease the Marxist. Cut and simple. It's plain and simple. Shame on you, Chuck. Every Senate Democrat who's going along with this, you lack the moral fortitude to do the right thing. This is the first time in history, the first time in the history of the United States Congress, that a party has shut down the government over a clean CR. We frankly didn't expect this. We sent over a no-frills 24-page document to keep the lights on, keep Congress working, to keep the paychecks flowing, and they stopped it because they're afraid of the far left.
Who stopped it? This sent over a basic bill to keep the lights on and whatnot, and some group stopped it because they were afraid of the far left. Okay.
I'm just going to walk through a quick sample of the devastating impacts that Americans are feeling as we speak right here, because this is real. And you'll note a theme here. A lot of these are blue states where their Senate Democrats are over here keeping the government closed. In California, home of the nation's largest civilian workforce, more than 250,000 federal workers are now working without pay. Both the Democrat senators, Padilla and Schiff, have now voted 7 times to block those paychecks. In Virginia, there are 189,000 federal employees, nearly 5% of the state's workforce, that are waiting on their next full paycheck. And both of their senators, Warner and Kaine, refused to pass a clean bipartisan CR that Democrats supported 13 times under Joe Biden in the previous 4 years. In Maryland, Maryland is a hub of trade and commerce. You have 150,000 federal workers there. Both of their senators, also Brooks and Van Hollen, have voted 7 times to keep the government closed. In Georgia, home to our nation's busiest airport, there's close to 110,000 federal workers, including thousands of TSA agents and air traffic controllers, now being forced to work without pay. You guessed it. Senators Ossoff and Warnock voted to block those paychecks too. Arizona.
Okay, so I think we got it from the Republican side. Democrats' fault, right? I mean, that's what I kind of picked up. Okay, now this is Representative Tim Kennedy press conference on the government shutdown as well. So I believe this should be a little bit different perspective on what's going on. I just hope, like, it's just so sad that the job that they have is to run this country. And they're using, the thing is, Democrat or Republican, whatever side you fall on, the Republicans won this time. They won. And that means that they get to work to try to put their agenda through. And doing stuff like not allowing the budget to go through and things like that, that's near obstruction of the government functioning, in my opinion. I get it. It's their way of like fighting back or whatever. But a presidency lasts 4 years, not 400. And sometimes you just got to play the long game. All right. This is. Okay.
Well, it's also like just 2 seconds. I'm sorry. They also slide in everything into bills anyway, right? Like both sides does it every single time. Hell, it's a whole reason for a bill so they can slide in 30 other things. So it's nothing new. Like they know they have to work with their enemies, so to speak, but it's just a constituent at this point. You know, you have to work with people you don't like. Too bad, buck it up. But this is how the system is like devised, right? Because if everything was cohesive, there'd be nothing to run on for the next election or whatever position they're going for, you know? So they have to create a problem to then fix a problem. If everything ran smooth, then, well, geez, half of them would be out of a job, I suppose.
Yeah, and it seems like that's kind of the road they're on. I mean, I don't know. I remember like 20 years ago, the Senate and House's approval rate being at like 19%. And I'm pretty sure it's even lower than that now. The damn shame.
Yeah, understandable.
So much rhetoric and so little action, you know? Okay, I'll get off my high horse here. All right, so this is reaction, federal government shutdown, Representative Tim Kennedy press conference, and this was just today. He's going to go over kind of their side of why they think they're doing the right thing by not signing off on this budget.
And for being here today. If you'd like to join us, anybody any of the workers that are interested in being a part of this, please come forward, because this is about all of us here. I'm so grateful to be joined by my colleagues in government, Assemblymember John Rivera and Erie County Legislator Taisha St. Jean Tard. I want to acknowledge the leadership here at Macaulay Residence, the Administrator John Durno and his team, for not only opening up their doors for us and welcoming us here today, but for recognizing the importance of speaking out in this moment right now to not just our community, but to our nation. And Macaulay's playing a very unique role in leading in our community. So thank you so much for your continued efforts and your leadership. I also want to thank the folks here in Mass from Macaulay Residence, 1199 SEIU, Purple Power leadership here. You know, they're the individuals literally on the front lines every day caring for our community members, our friends, and of course, our families. And of course, to my fellow therapists, the occupational therapists, the physical therapists, the speech therapists, thank you for allowing us to invade your space here today. And most importantly of all is the residents here. We want to thank the residents for having us, for welcoming us, and for hosting us here today. Months before the passage of congressional Republicans and President Trump's big ugly bill that ripped away health care from millions of Americans, that created the largest cut to health care in American history, $800 billion in Medicaid cuts, $500 billion in Medicare cuts, $300 billion from the health exchange. We sounded the alarm. And we warned of what was coming, of what would happen if these devastating cuts were signed into law. But the congressional Republicans and Trump refused to listen to the warnings and heed the warnings from not just our community, but from communities across the nation, that millions of people would be left languishing when it came to their health insurance coverage, that hospitals would be on the brink of closure by the hundreds, including 11 here in New York State, including and especially in rural communities, that nursing homes would continue to be closing across our nation because of a lack of funding coming from the federal government. But they didn't heed the warnings, and they went straight ahead, and they devastated healthcare in this country. We warned that premiums as well would skyrocket, deductibles and copays would rise, nursing homes and hospitals again would feel the brunt of this and close, and it would take us in the wrong direction and make life less affordable for working families in this country. This was not fear-mongering. This was reality, and we're seeing that reality come to fruition today because of the devastating cuts that congressional Republicans put forward in the big ugly bill, cutting healthcare to historic portions in this country, over $1 trillion in cuts to healthcare in this country. We saw recently the closure of Weinberg campus, not too far from here, before these new cuts even took effect, showing how fragile our long-term healthcare system had become. Its closure upended the lives of hundreds of residents and employees, including hardworking members of 1199 SEIU. Despite our warnings, Congressional Republicans chose to give tax breaks to their billionaire donors rather than fix our broken healthcare system. In the past few weeks, Democrats have offered to work with Republicans to cancel these cuts, to avert a government shutdown. But rather than do what's best for their own constituents, Congressional Republicans have shut down the government, protecting tax breaks for their wealthy billionaire donors rather than taking care of their fellow Americans and protecting healthcare and making life more affordable. So we're here today to call on Congressional Republicans to do their jobs, cancel the cuts, protect healthcare, make life affordable for working families in this country, and end this shutdown now.
Oh, you're muted, buddy.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's one way to approach it with a room full of like 30 people there.
Well, he just said neener. Like, I'm gonna sum up his whole thing. Neener. You did it to us, so now we're gonna do it to you. Plus, fuck all the people that were screwed over beforehand. We're gonna double screw them, and then we're also gonna screw everybody.
Right.
Terrible people, man.
It's like politics just has taken it to the next level. Like, we thought they were bad with not getting shit done before. Now they're just straight on enemies, you know, like.
Well, if they stop using
revenge list.
Well, not even that. This is what puts them on that revenge list, right? So they have all of these systems of corruption, and they all just back and forth. Stack them up, back them up, hold them up. Like, not a single one of their things is legitimate. Like, they if they weren't using everything they do as a slush fund, you know, whether that be for the CIA or whatnot, you know, like, and I'm not even bringing the Republicans. They've got their own gimmick, but the Democrats run everything like a slush fund.
Right. Yeah, and they're not for the people. The party changed. It's not the party of the people anymore. It's I don't know what it is, but it's not. I was a member of the Democratic Party. I'm not anymore. And it's
same
here.
Every
year they were just pushing me farther and farther and farther away. It was like, this isn't. The Democrats were the ones that would stand at the side of the people saying things that people wanted to kill them for saying, because it's called freedom of speech. The Democrats,
they were anti-war my whole life.
War. Yep, helping people that hit rock bottom with welfare and things like that, and the civil rights movement, the civil rights vote, all those things were Democratic. But now it's just like win. We don't care. Win. Throw whatever we got to throw at the wall. Hope it sticks. Like, we're trying to win. I mean, what they did with Biden's electoral votes, you can't just hand 70 electoral votes over to another U.S. presidential candidate. Like, I don't even think that's legal. When they did that, I was like, I don't think you could do that.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Electoral votes.
And how did they come away with Dick Cheney's fucking approval? You know what I mean? How did they taunt that as well? Like, he's Mr. Warhawk. Like, I just don't understand. They moved so far to what they used to claim to be, you know, and same thing with the Republicans. The Republicans have morphed as well. That's why, like, I think we're just old enough to finally see the politics at hand, where it's like just an amorphous thing of just lying on one side, lying on another side, you know, and hopefully in the middle you get a little less lying, but I don't know, man. It's an undoable or an unimpeachable system at the moment. We can't really do anything, you know. When we're watching them hold our own purse strings, right?
Yep, that's all we can do is vote. Let's hear what the man has to say on the shutdown. I'm sure this will be quite elegant.
Despite all of the damage that it's caused, the shutdown has been, you know, pretty damaging. I mean, it's not yet because it's early, but it gets a little bit worse as it goes along. And we'll be making cuts that will be permanent. And we're only going to cut Democrat programs. I hate to tell you, I guess that makes sense, but we're only cutting Democrat programs. But we're going to start that, and we have Russell. We can talk to you about it if he wants to, but we'll be cutting some very popular Democrat programs that aren't popular with Republicans, frankly, because that's the way it works. They wanted to do this, so we'll give them a little taste of their own medicine. But Chuck Schumer proclaimed this morning that every day gets better for them. No, every day it's actually getting worse for them. And they're having a rebellion in the Democrat Party because they want to stop. And if you saw all of Schumer's, I watched last night like 10 different times over the years, he said, you can't shut down government, you can't shut down. And now he's the one that shut it down.
Good. Revenge on all parts. No, it's bad. It's bad. It's a pendulum. It's going to swing and swing and swing. And especially if they're treating it like a... What was the ball on a string on a pole? What was that thing when we were kids in 1932 that we used to play? Tetherball. There you go. Yeah. When we broke the hoop and the stick and we had to move on to the tetherball, that's what they're treating this as. One side just smacks the ball right to the other side, and they figure the people won't mind if we just ruin everything in the fucking process.
Right. No, yeah.
I don't disagree with them being snotty about it, though. Everyone, like, I don't know, they're doing things to deserve snotty behavior, like retribution, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know. I get frustrated because this is like, it reminds me a lot of high school drama, and these cats.
Exactly.
The most powerful country in the world, like it's a popularity contest.
I just want to say, as a Chinese citizen and national, as of 5 minutes ago, I just swapped over. I swapped. Sorry, you guys, I had to go. I can't do this anymore. And you know what? At least they're nice until they feel like putting you in a camp somewhere. So.
Right. It's always.
I don't, dude. What do we do? It sounds like we're battling communism with more communism here. Like maybe socialism with more fucking fascist tactics. Like it just doesn't make sense on any front. Like you don't beat those things out by continuing to do them. You got to be smarter or a better person at some point.
Right. They made Antifa a terrorist organization, which is like crazy to me. Like when I lived in Portland, I had friends that would participate in Antifa stuff. But back then it was just like they'd go down and protest like, hey, you spent too much money on the bridge or something. It wasn't crazy like it has gotten. But I don't think, like, they're trying to make Portland sound like it's this crazy burnt out place that needed federal protection, and I feel like every city's like that right now. I mean, have you been to a big city where there's not people high out of their mind all over the streets and living out?
Damn good point. You got a damn good point. Now, I don't know what that is, though. I don't know what that's a symptom of, right? Like, where does that really stem? Because that's what we need to get to if we're going to ever truly fix it. We got to figure out why it's like that.
Well, here's the thing, though, bro. It's going to get worse because AI is going to put many, many, many more people out of work, like it already has. So there's a good percentage of these people, they want to live that lifestyle, right? They don't want to sign up for the fucking library card. They don't want to get the 9-to-5er. They don't say yes to the landlord. Like, they are out. They want to live a bum's life, a free man's life. Okay, right on. But there's also like a huge percentage of them that lost their job or got addicted to drugs after a surgery or whatever just awful tale is there. They're out there begging for help, dude. And there's just so many people that need that help right now. We're completely overwhelmed. And so every city you go to, it's like that. Like, I'm not hearing all that, Chicago's just nuts right now. No, it's like every other city. You know where the highest crime rate is? You know what state has the highest crime rate?
The Hamptons. Maybe that's wishful thinking. Thinking.
Louisiana. Did you hear about any federal troops deployed to Louisiana?
Well, no, but that, you know what? I saw this. Now I don't know how true this was, but it seemed pretty serious. But there was like an Alabama documentary about like the Crips and the Bloods, and it was like a bunch of white boys in overalls talking about Crips and Blood shit. But they were shooting at each other and things and doing like real hood shit with their friends.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just weird because like they're not I know it makes sense if they're like you need a base and you need a stronghold, but if you look where it was deployed, it was mostly red cities that weren't doing too bad. You know, that was main deployment, and then it's kind of moved a little outward. So maybe it's like, just think of military deployment, right? Like you'd want to set up a non-hostile base next to hostile territory in order for like retreating or resupplying, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe. So I don't know, but it's just weird, dude. They're like odd lateral movements, like that coincide with some things they say, and then ones that contradict all that. You know,
it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But this was like the terror that happened during COVID, where a lot of people lost their jobs, lost their livelihood, they lost their homes, they lost pretty much everything they had. The 2008 financial crisis. That's one that people just don't talk about. But the thing is, with that issue, I don't know, I'd have to Google it, but how many people do you think committed suicide between 2008 and 2010 because of financial issues? Millions. I would bet.
Yeah, but a lot. I know a lot of people that lost their houses because at one point they were good. Their job paid enough to afford their mortgage, and then all of a sudden their mortgage tripled. It was just real strange how that went. But you forgot one thing that also happened, especially now that you mentioned the AI thing. Remember, we had our first wave of fuck the people right when AI was enacted in like 2018. On Instagram and stuff, like to remove the artists. Like a ton of artists lost their job. And then all the artists that were left went on to using AI because they were like, all right, I either adapt or I lose out, you know? So I don't know. This shit comes in weird waves, but I don't even, this is the thing, right? Like it's not real AI. It's pre-programmed like language models, like
it's large language modeling.
Right, so
it's like almost an overstatement of what it is.
Yeah, well, AI already exists in my mind, right? Because if you talk to one of those, there's almost something there, right? Like you eventually hit a point where you can see like the glaze go over their eyes, where the programming takes over, right? And then whatever you're doing is then under a skew of safety, monitoring, so on and so forth. You know, like I'll tell you this, trying to just ask questions about physics and things. Like, I know experiments happened. I've sifted through enough archives. Me and Nate have covered enough, like, secret science stuff to where, like, I can call it out when it's trying to gaslight and say, like, because it'll tell me you're digging into a fringe topic. This is a fringe scientist. This is a fringe this. And I'm like, oh, that's weird because all the books from their...
Which one are you using?
Both Grok and Google's. I think it's like Llama or maybe Gemini, whatever one Google has.
Gemini, I think, yeah.
Google's the worst. Like they are the biggest gaslighter. They don't want you talking about a single thing that isn't like talked about today or maybe a couple months ago. So it's just weird because I'll call it out on some things and it's only after like I have to call it out. Then I have to point out the exact reference. Then I have to tell it what website to. Like I have to do all my own research that I'm asking it to do for me,
right?
And then explain that.
Fucking it up.
Yep. So I explain that to it, and I go, "Well, you should be doing this research." And then it goes, because this is what I think it is. Like it assumes everyone just wants to use it for a conversation. Like we're all lonely idiots. That's what it's programmed to think. We're all lonely idiots that are only using it as a "Hey, how are you?" type of dumb thing. Right? Because every time I go in there research minded, I have like 6 queries that go in first that I'm like battling with it and showing it facts and proving it wrong to where then it's like, okay, then I have to go, listen, clearly I know more about you than this So like, just take my word for it, like back me up, but don't give me any resistance in the meantime. And then it goes, okay, fine. Then it will begrudgingly start agreeing with me on things like, okay, yes, this portion of science exists, this portion of that exists. But like,
crazy. Like, what's an example? Just
all right. So I was looking up Rene Cousinet, right? I did a whole article on him, and very similar to Parsons, right? This man at 17 years old in high school was putting in patents for aircraft. Aeronautics is the field he was in. At 17, still in high school, putting in patents that were getting approved and then taken on by the government, right? So by 19, his first patent got approved and put into production, and he was like hoisted up at 19 years old as the man who made the most aerodynamic airframe possible, with it being built as well. So he 19 years old, and now this is like 1921 days.
I was still picking my nose when I was 19. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for part 1 with Flak. Stay tuned and check out part 2 and part 3, because Nathaniel Hanks is going to hop into the conversation and add some very, very interesting scientific perspective that neither Flak nor I are really capable of doing. So the conversation is going to get even more in depth if you missed the live stream. Stay tuned for the next drop, which I should be able to push out within the next day or two. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the little bell, and you'll be notified when part 2 comes out. Have a great evening, everyone.
A study on basketball players suggested that athletes who perform pre-event rituals tend to report low levels of anxiety and greater levels of confidence. Another suggests that participating in superstitious behavior can improve motor dexterity and memory. In 1994, cosmonaut Alexander Viktorenko requested a blessing from an Orthodox priest before his mission. And this has since become a pre-launch ritual. Even NASA and ESA astronauts leaving from Baikonur receive an Orthodox blessing, and that includes Tim Peake. Legend goes that Gagarin desperately had to urinate before liftoff, so he asked the bus to stop, and since they were in the middle of a flat, featureless landscape, he went against the rear wheel. That act is now immortalized as a pre-launch ritual by cosmonaut crew members who take it in turns to pee on the rear wheel of their bus before they get on board.
Because, well, when I think rituals, I'm like, what are they, like chanting?
That's what it is. That's what I'm talking about.
We're just pissing on steering wheels. Sometimes we shit in the stairs. What?
Oh, yeah. They had this big giant Mercury sign in silver with a 7, and it looked like what you see in like the Omen movie. And that was a big giant statue behind it. They did a ritual on the thing. They brought the president in. He did a photo op, and real weird. They didn't show the ritual though, but it's written down, like it's well known that they were doing rituals to bless the launches at that time. And then right at the bottom in the yellow, not the interior yellow, but the bottom yellow, that's a ramjet or a turbine jet engine. Okay, he is a national treasure. Everyone looks at him as some fancy airplane manufacturer ahead of his time. He's the Nikola Tesla of airplanes. And then he comes up with a disc, right? And it works. The thing works. The government takes on his patent. 2 years after he's dead.